What's up, guys? So this video is going to be about building what I'm going to call an indoor pond. It's going to be more like an indoor frag tank or just a frag tank. I'm using a pond liner and some plywood. So what I want to do, this is a quarantine tank. This is going to come out. This open area on the import fish rack, I want to do is one tank out of plywood and use it for plant grow out. I plan on making it maybe 10 to 12 inches tall, and it's going to be the whole size of this open in the rack. The plan is to take dirty water from the import fish tanks and pump it to this frag tank that's going to be over here. This frag tank is going to use the nitrates and everything from the water changes and help grow plants. I feel like I can have a lot of surface area having a frag tank. I might put some fish in there just to keep plants clean while they're growing. Whether or not I use some of these Danios because they're very active, neon tetras, cardinal tetras, guppies, I got cories. You know, I have a lot of options to put in there. I also have a ton of nearite snails, so I'll definitely put some nearites in there. And this video is going to be about building it. I'm hoping I can keep the cost to the frag tank around $100. So I'm going to go get some wood, and we'll continue the video once I have some wood. Alright guys, I went to the store. I got 2 sheets of plywood. It is obviously 4x8 and 3/4 inch thick. I'm going to go ahead and measure everything out and get to cutting. Alright guys, so I just took down some measurements. It's going to be 5 feet long by 30 inches wide, and I'm doing 10 inches tall. I'm going to do 10 inches plus 3/4 to make up for the thickness of the wood. I want an actual 10 inches deep of water. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and lay out the 5 foot by 30 inches and we'll get to cutting. So here's what I'm thinking. The sides are 10 inches tall. This one is a scrap piece. It's the correct length, but it's only 7.5 inches tall. I have another sheet of plywood, but man, I'd really hate to have to cut a full sheet of plywood just for that one piece I need. So what I'm thinking about doing is, this is what's remaining on this sheet, of cutting the remaining distance and then combining it to this piece to give me my 10 inches tall, and that way I'm not wasting a sheet of plywood. And it doesn't really matter what it's going to look like, because this is going to get lined with a pond liner. I'm thinking of overlapping, you know, cutting the extra piece and then running a strip that overlaps it to give it strength. So I think that's what I'm going to do, so that way I'm not wasting wood. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the pieces I need out of this board and get this to 10 inches. Because right now it's about a little over 7.5. Alright guys, so I had to move indoors. When I went and bought the wood, it was like 45 degrees out. It was kind of raining. That was a couple hours ago. Now it is almost 2 p.m. and it's Ohio, so the temperature went from like 45 down to 25. And it's starting to snow, so I checked radar and it's going to be like a snowstorm. So I decided to move indoors to finish this pond build. And we'll pick it up. The box is done. And if you notice, like, I didn't really care how accurate the cuts were. If I was trying to get them perfect, I would have used a guide, or even I have a table saw. I could use the table saw to make them perfect. The box doesn't have to hold water. Now, if you're trying to make a waterproof box, example would be you make the box and then you line it with that like pond epoxy, then your cuts need to be perfect. You don't want any gaps, you want it perfect. There's nothing perfect about any of these cuts, and I'm fine with that. I'm doing this as cheaply and quickly as possible because I'm going to put a pond liner inside, and that's what's going to make it waterproof. So from here, I need to get the pond liner out, lay it in the box, and see what I need to do to get it set. So let's continue on. I should also mention, right before I cut to this scene, I cut a couple of the scraps into triangles. Those are going to go on the corners as gussets or a brace once the pond liner's done. I'm going to use that just to kind of hold the corners together. I don't foresee this being a problem. It's not very deep, so the pressure shouldn't be super high, but I'm still going to have the weight of the water pushing on all the sides. I didn't glue it. I meant to glue everything together, and then I just forgot about it, and when I remembered, I was like, screw it. I'm just going to screw it together. So, yeah, let's get that pond liner going. Alright, so I bought this pond liner off Amazon. I think it was like 35 bucks. It's a PVC liner. It's not the, I believe it's like EPDM. It's not like full rubber. It's kind of a plasticky, from what I was reading on the reviews. I guess it's pretty thin, and some people said with like turtles, don't use it because it will rip super easy. 14.5 mil PVC thickness. It's 7 foot by 10 foot. So it should work for this. Oh, this is way wider than I thought it would be. It's got that kind of plasticky smell, like when you like open an air mattress or whatever. Yeah, so I have plenty. Alright, so it should be just long enough to be able to do 10-inch depth, and I'm going to roll it over and staple it to the outside and do that all the way around and try to push it into the corners as best as possible. If I were doing this outside, I'd lay it out and put some water in it to help keep everything in place. But being that I'm doing this in my living room, I need to keep this thing empty. And yeah, because I can't fill it up and then try to move it, and I'm not going to try to fill this up and then drain it. And once this is in the rack, it's going to be too tight for me to work on it, so I need to have it all done out here. So I'm gonna go grab a razor blade and my staple gun and start working on this. Alright, so here's what I got. This is a Stanley brand staple gun. I bought this off Amazon a long time ago. It's not very big, but it'll work for this. Came with the gun and extra staples. And I forget what I bought this for. I think when I was doing fabric for hanging planters. So I'll use that. And I got a pair of scissors to cut the liner. I think what I'm going to do is shorten the liner on this side. So it's like this, and that way I can work all the extra excess material that way, and then cut off and try to save as much as possible. Maybe I'll be able to reuse it in the future, or keep it for patches or something along those lines. So I think it'd be kind of cool, like how I made this brace. I was just looking at this brace. Since this is 2 pieces, you could run that all the way around and then have a lip to do a lid if you wanted. If you want to do an enclosed pond, you could use that as a lid to sit on there. And, you know, with this liner wrapping it, you know, help keep the water in. So I just kind of thought of that, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get started on this. So it's looking like this, the length of is going to be the shortest amount of material left over. So what I'm going to do is kind of get this, I'm going to start at this corner. Yeah. Oh, I just heard a staple. See, these are little. I'd recommend getting bigger ones. Something a little bit thicker. I don't know how clean I'm going to be able to make this look. It really wants to wrinkle. Now obviously I don't feel like I have to say this, but don't staple the bottom, because obviously you're going to put holes in it. I feel like everybody's smart enough to know not to do that. I think for these corners I'm just going to fold it on itself. I can go back through and cut this if I want, but I think I'm just going to kind of let it do its thing. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this around and keep working from this side of the room. Okay, see, this is really close. Like, I almost came up too short. Staples. I'm going to have to cut. Actually, I'm just going to do this. Try and give it some slack in these corners, so that way the water will kind of push it together. Got a decent amount left over. Oh, it's a little tight right here. Work this in. And there's going to be, I mean, I already know there's going to be this wrinkle and stuff. I'm not concerned about it. This is a functional pond. I don't care about aesthetics. All right, let's take this out and put it on the fish rack, and then I guess start adding water to it and see what happens. All right, guys, so I have it set on the shelf, and just to remind everybody, it's 5 feet long, 30 inches deep, front to back, and 10 tall, so 10 inches deep. It comes out to roughly 78 gallons. And so I was looking up pricing. 1 sheet plywood is all I used. I bought 2. I'm going to keep the other sheet to make basically another one of these. The 7-foot by 10-foot pond liner was $35 off of Amazon. And let's say $5 in screws. It's definitely less than $1 a gallon. I'm going to, let me grab, everything's tossed everywhere. I think I'm going to put these in the corner. 1 in each corner, that's going to brace the sides. And then I'm going to run, I think I'm going to put a brace in the center to tie the long edge of this pond or tank or whatever you want to call this. I guess it's technically a pond since there's no viewing panels. It's all viewed from the top. But got plenty of room. I can reach all the way to the back, so I can hang plant lights above and get this growing. And the other thing I like about this is when I do this rack system over here and I replace all this, I can just do multiple rows of this style, because this would be perfect for shrimp, because shrimp like surface area versus depth of the water. So you know, if you imagine, like down here is a 55, this is a 55 gallon with shrimp in it, just mainly because I needed to put shrimp somewhere, so I had 2 55s. This is the other one. But if I had these, you know, if I could fit 4 of these on each rack system, you know, I could space them out more, especially down here. You know, that's a huge surface area for shrimp. And yeah, so I'm liking this. I'm about to do water changes on this. I'm going to change the water into this changing bucket, and then I'm going to use that bucket to start putting water on here and check it for leaks. And you know, maybe fill it up halfway and then get this brace on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some water going. All right, so that's 30 gallons. I basically drained 3 of these 20 longs halfway, so it's 10 a piece. Its wastewater is now in this pond. And it looks like everything's going good so far. So that's 30 gallons and it's not even halfway full yet. I think I'll go ahead and put a shop light up here for now, so I can get some light in here, and that way I can really see what's going on. Alright, so I put up a shop light. I think these are 3 foot long. They're like 20 bucks at Menards. I just put a couple screws in, and then its hooks are just hooked onto it. It comes with chain. I didn't need it, so chain down. I would ideally probably put, if I'm doing shop lights, I would definitely get at least another one, if not 2, and really pump some light into this pond. Like I said, this is to grow plants, so this thing is going to be full of potted plants. I think I'm going to leave the potted plants that I've already propagated last week in these tanks, and then my next group of plants I need to propagate out of my plant grow out rack down here, I'm going to put into this. I might put like a cloth here, because this light stays on 24 hours a day and I get excellent growth. So I think I want to do the same thing with this. Leave the light on 24 hours a day, and pump them full of the 614 fertilizer, and then I'm going to black it out so that way I don't disturb the rest of the fish room at night. So I'll just get some fabric and nail it to this, and then let it drape down, or maybe I'll do a curtain rod or something, that way I can slide it open, keep it out of my way. That might be the best thing to do. In fact, I think I have a curtain rod somewhere that I can use. So yeah, looking good. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up, and that's about that. Alright guys, that's it for this video. The pond has been filled now for almost 6 hours. I don't see any leaks, so I think it's doing very well. I have a plant import order coming in this week, and I will put the plants into the pond, and I'll probably do another video kind of showing how I have it set up. I did print a plant holder rack with my 3D printer. I'll actually show you guys. I already used one. It's back there. It holds 9 pots of the standard aquarium plant pots, the 2-inch pots. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll do an update video on it. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Drop a like if you wish. If you didn't like the video, drop a dislike. But please subscribe. It really is helping me out with growing the channel. But have a good night. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Whenever you watch this, just have a great time. See you guys.